General Hospital Spoilers teased that Nina stood frozen in the hospital hallway, the sounds around her fading into a blur as she received devastating news. Sasha had just given birth to a child, and the father was none other than Michael. The news hit like a bitter cold storm, shaking the foundation of every carefully crafted plan Nina had devised to gain control in the custody battle over Amelia and Wiley. What stunned Nina wasn't just that Sasha had been pregnant and given birth in complete secrecy, but the identity of the child, a new heir to the Corinthos and Quartermain legacies. A baby whose bloodline had the power to upend the entire chessboard being built among the rival factions. Nina had believed she was one step ahead, subtly influencing Willow's every move. But the sudden appearance of this child forced her to confront a bitter truth. Sasha, the woman she thought had long stepped away from the heart of all the drama, was now the missing piece capable of reversing the entire situation. For a long time, Nina had plotted to eliminate Willow's legal claim as Amelia's mother by using sharp legal strategies and manipulating her personal connections within the system. But now, with Michael, who was growing increasingly distant from Willow, having a new child with Sasha, everything became messier. It meant Michael was no longer solely dependent on keeping Amelia in his life to preserve his identity as a father. Now he had another child, another opportunity, another legacy to pass on, and that cost Nina one of her most powerful bargaining chips. Worse still, if Michael chose to walk away from the custody battle to start a new life with Sasha and their child, Willow could win custody of Amelia without even putting up a final fight. That would render Nina's entire campaign a massive failure, a public humiliation in front of the whole town. Nina's mind was burning with chaos. Memories of her complex history with Sasha surged back, from the days when they were bonded like mother and daughter, to the moment Sasha betrayed her trust over the truth of their fake relationship. But now, that betrayal had returned in a much crueler form. Sasha had conceived Michael's child, kept it secret all this time, and given birth just as Nina was going all in on taking down Willow and Carly in court. Sasha's baby wasn't just a newborn, it was a symbol of retribution. A reminder that no matter how meticulously an agenda is crafted, it can still be destroyed by life's most unexpected force, new life itself. And in her panic, Nina realized she wasn't in control, not in the way she'd always believed. What if Sasha sided with Carly? What if she revealed that Nina had exposed the baby's paternity to Rick to throw the case into chaos? Or worse, what if Sasha exposed Nina's relationship with Drew while he was still in love with Willow? Nina felt cornered, where every misstep could become a dagger turned against her. A new fear began to form, no longer the fear of losing a grandchild, but the fear of losing all the power, the dignity, and the control that had sustained her for years. Adjustments had to be made. Nina was forced to recalculate every alliance, every word, every glance. She no longer had the luxury of pulling strings from behind the scenes. She would have to step into the light, confront the battlefield, and fight with a whole new strategy, perhaps even a more ruthless one. Yet deep inside, uncertainty swelled. She didn't know whether Sasha would stay silent, or if she was merely waiting for the right moment to unleash all the secrets she held like a final blow. That thought kept Nina sleepless, because when the truth is a caged beast, the one holding the key could be anyone, and right now, Sasha held the entire door to Nina's downfall. And like all tragedies in Port Charles, this story won't end here. In the world of General Hospital, no secret stays buried forever, and no child is born without a storm ready to explode. Nina knows this. And for the first time in months, she trembled, not from fear of betrayal, but from the dawning realization that it might be Sasha, Michael, and their baby, who will finally destroy her. Sasha now stands at the beginning of a completely new chapter in her life, no longer just a victim of tragedy, no longer the woman constantly burdened with losses caused by others. After months of being deceived, manipulated, and pushed to the edge by powerful forces in Port Charles, she is slowly repositioning herself, not through reckless rebellion, but with sharp calculation, precise strategy, and a silence laced with control. Giving birth to Michael's child wasn't just a personal turning point, it was the spark of a shockwave shaking the fragile power structure of the Corinthos, Quartermaine, and Reeves families. This newborn, with a powerful bloodline, could shift the very nature of a custody case, turning the tables on those who thought they held the upper hand. What makes Sasha more dangerous than ever is not whether she speaks or stays quiet, but her mastery over information. A skill she once lost, but now regains with fierce determination. When Nina disclosed the baby's paternity to Rick for legal leverage in the custody case over Amelia, Sasha was deeply shaken. It wasn't just a betrayal by someone who once called her daughter, but a public humiliation that forced her to testify under oath in total vulnerability. But even when pushed into a corner, Sasha didn't scream or give up. She chose silence, observing, recording, and preparing for a return more devastating than anyone could imagine. Now, Sasha is no longer the fragile woman trapped in other people's games. She holds a truth that could destroy Nina, shake Drew's image, and unravel the fragile trust Willow is clinging to amid the family storm. She knows about the physical relationship between Nina and Drew, a truth that, if revealed at the right moment, could utterly destroy the image of two people pretending to be responsible adults. Especially with Willow's trust in Drew already fraying due to the nurse incident in Germany, one more revelation from Sasha could be the fatal blow. But Sasha isn't in a rush. She doesn't act out of temporary anger. She understands true power lies in choosing the right moment, the right tool, and delivering the cleanest strike. She is also rebuilding her identity as a mother, not just legally, but emotionally, and in her control over her child's future. In a world where custody determines reputation, assets, and social power, being the mother of a child carrying the Corinthos name has automatically placed her at the center of it all. And from that position, she can not only protect herself, she can change the game entirely. By remaining silent in the press, refusing public statements, and not commenting on Michael and Willow's case, Sasha is sending a clear message: she is no one's pawn. Her silence is her weapon, and every moment she holds onto her secrets, she makes the people involved more anxious. A new obsession is rising in Sasha, not the fear of losing everything, but the fierce need to become stronger than ever so she will never be cornered again. She is forming a new armor. A survival strategy unlike the woman who once collapsed after Liam's death, who cried alone in the dark, feeling abandoned by the world. This Sasha now knows who is a friend and who is an enemy, and when her truth can shift everything, she becomes the most dangerous person in the room, even when she says nothing at all. Port Charles can no longer silence Sasha. She is the change. And every breath she takes is a warning: everyone will pay. Nina will no longer hold the reins of manipulation. Drew will no longer be seen as the innocent man. And Willow, once thought to be the eye of the storm, will be forced to choose a side. In that silence, Sasha is not just building a new position, she is redefining justice and revenge. And when the time comes, even a whisper from her might be enough to burn down the entire world they're all trying so hard to protect. Sasha is preparing for a counterattack that could reshape the entire power structure of Port Charles, and this time, she's not hesitating. After being cornered by Nina's betrayal, the woman who secretly revealed the identity of Sasha's unborn child's father to Rick in an attempt to shake the custody case, Sasha realized that silence would only keep her a pawn in someone else's game. Now, she holds a secret that could destroy not only Nina but also Willow, once considered an ally, even family. The shocking truth Sasha is ready to unveil is evidence of Nina's affair with Drew while he was still in a relationship with Willow. This isn't hearsay, it's a living, undeniable truth that only Sasha knows. A truth that could shatter the fragile trust still lingering in Willow's heart and unravel the network of lies holding their artificial relationships together. Sasha knows this revelation won't just cause Willow to lose Drew, it will force her to confront the harsh reality that the mother she struggled to accept, Nina, has never stopped sabotaging her life from the shadows. When the physical relationship between Nina and Drew is exposed, Willow will see herself not only betrayed by a lover but also by her own mother, the same woman who once swore to heal their relationship and rebuild trust. Instead, Nina continued scheming, stabbing her daughter in the back with cold, calculated cruelty. And Sasha, wounded by Nina's manipulations, no longer has any reason to keep this secret. The pain she's endured, the humiliation of testifying in court, and the anger of seeing her child used as a legal pawn, all of it has simmered into a quiet fury, waiting to erupt at the perfect moment. And when Sasha speaks, Willow's world will truly explode. No one expects it to come from Sasha, the former victim, the deeply wounded woman. But her truth has the power to dismantle the entire web of trust within the Corinthos family. Sasha won't merely expose an affair. She will unleash an emotional reckoning, a surgical strike aimed at the weakest point in the triangle between Willow, Drew, and Nina. With a single sentence, she could turn Drew into a cheater, Nina into an unfit mother, and Willow into a humiliated woman standing defenseless before all of Port Charles. This is not an impulsive act. It is the result of years of being pushed aside, silenced, and stripped of her voice. And now that Sasha is the mother of Michael's child, a vital piece in the Quartermain bloodline, she is no longer on the sidelines. She is at the center of it all, holding the key to the collapse of a long-rotted belief system. She knows that once the truth comes out, Willow will no longer have a reason to trust anyone. She will lose Drew, lose Nina, and lose her sense of direction, and that's when Sasha can rise, seize control, and reclaim justice for herself, her child, and even for Michael. In a world where truth can be a double-edged sword, Sasha is ready to wield the blade, and aim it at those who made her bleed. This is not the move of a weak woman. It is the rise of one who has been broken, but never defeated. And when Sasha opens her mouth, a new kind of madness will flood Port Charles, not blind chaos, but a storm of truth, justice, and a woman reclaiming her life by stripping away the masks of those who built theirs on lies. Sasha is no longer the woman drowning in tears, hidden panic, or suffocating interrogations, where her honesty was questioned, her dignity trampled. Now, she is igniting a war, not just to reclaim her motherhood, but to reclaim her life, her truth, and the dignity stolen by people cloaked in virtue. The most profound shift isn't happening in court filings or legal arguments, it's happening within Sasha's mind, her resolve, her will. She's taking back the advantage, preparing a strike powerful enough to shake Port Charles to its core. The truth she holds, about Nina and Drew's affair, isn't just bitter, it's a ticking bomb. And Sasha is ready to drop it at the perfect moment. Nina, who once cried to the public about mending ties with Willow in the name of motherhood, buried all that hope with an unforgivable betrayal. And Drew, the so-called moral compass of the town, betrayed Willow when she was at her most vulnerable, battling illness, raising her child, and believing love could save her. Sasha doesn't need to scream or seek bloody revenge. She only needs to rise, speak, and let the truth expose the shadows behind their smiling faces. She's stepping into a role no one thought she'd claim, the one holding the reins. Sasha is no longer afraid. Her calculations aren't driven by personal ambition, but by the urgent need to reclaim the power stolen from her. Each time Nina used Sasha's pregnancy as a legal weapon in the custody war, she unknowingly tied herself to a bomb that Sasha controls. Each time Drew postured with false virtue, Sasha quietly noted another reason to expose him. She knows that once she speaks, Willow will never look at her mother or her lover the same way again, and if that means triggering a war within the Corinthos family, Sasha is ready to pull the trigger. But what makes Sasha truly dangerous isn't the secret itself, it's how she controls it. She doesn't act on impulse. She doesn't let emotions override precision. She picks her moment, her stage, her audience. She knows a custody hearing will be the perfect stage, where the truth can't be denied, where a judge won't look away, where Michael can't protect Nina, and Drew can't explain his way out. This won't just be a revelation. It will be a public trial in front of all of Port Charles, where Sasha will stand tall, look each person in the eye, and say with unshakable conviction, "I know everything. And now, so do you." The madness Sasha is unleashing doesn't stem from chaos, it stems from rewriting the rules. She doesn't need to scream that she's right, she has proof. She doesn't need to beg for sympathy, she has truth. And she doesn't need a man to protect her, she is now the protector of herself. Her child, and the justice she's long been denied. In a world where men like Drew are forgiven for momentary lapses, and women like Nina are excused in the name of motherhood, Sasha stands as a survivor, not to forgive, but to remind them that every action has consequences. This battle is no longer just about custody. It is a battle for truth, for justice, and for dignity. This is Sasha's final declaration. She is no longer the vulnerable one, she is the one who decides who falls. And once she launches her counterattack, no one will be able to stop her. Not Michael. Not Nina. Not Drew. Not Willow. Only Sasha, the woman who once fell, can decide when all the masks finally fall. And that moment is drawing very, very near. Sasha's decision is slowly becoming the turning point in the custody battle between Michael and Willow, not just because she holds secrets that could bury them both, but because Sasha is now a mother, a woman driven by the desire to control her child's destiny, no longer a side character in the tragedies of the powerful. With the birth of a child carrying Quartermain blood, Sasha is forced into a battlefield where weakness will be torn apart, and only determination can keep her standing. The internal conflict between her maternal responsibility, her hatred for Nina, and the unresolved wounds left by Michael has rendered Sasha unable to stay silent. One of the most profound shifts is how she now views Michael, not as an emotional anchor, but as a strategic adversary. Someone who could take her child away if she doesn't act decisively and in time. Their relationship, once built on empathy and shared pain, is now fracturing under the weight of history and current ambitions. Michael may believe that fighting for custody of Wiley and Amelia is a noble act done in the children's best interest. But Sasha knows that anyone involved in that war is playing a political game, a game in which her newborn could easily become the next pawn. That's why Sasha is drawing her own boundaries. Refusing to let Michael impose anything on her, and resisting any offer, no matter how warmly wrapped in emotion or compassion, that might distract her from the single most important goal. Protecting her child from the manipulations of those who've used the name of love as a weapon of betrayal. The tension between Sasha and Michael simmers quietly but powerfully. Not with explosive arguments, but with heavy silences during negotiations, with wary glances during custody discussions, with best for the child advice laced with ulterior motives. Sasha understands that Michael, in his desire to uphold the Corinthos family's honor and legacy, might go beyond simply being a father. He might attempt to control every aspect of her child's environment, even using the law to remove her entirely from the picture. Therefore, Sasha begins to strengthen her position, legally, financially, and emotionally, not only to retain custody, but to ensure that her child's future is no longer dictated by the same forces that once pushed her to the brink. Yet the true danger doesn't lie in the courtroom, it lies within Sasha herself. Torn between the desire to forgive, the hope of being trusted again, and the haunting trauma of past betrayals. She knows any softness can be exploited. That's why she must become sharper, tougher, and ready to face not just Michael, but anyone who ever viewed her as a temporary pawn in a much larger game. When these calculated defenses merge with her fear of losing control again, Sasha becomes a force that cannot be ignored. The custody battle between Michael and Willow is no longer simply about two parents seeking stability for their children, it has evolved into a strategic war between three adults. Each carrying personal pain, personal truths, and personal obsessions about what they're willing to do to avoid losing everything. Sasha, as the one holding both the secret and the maternal right, is now in a position of ultimate influence. And if she chooses to use the truth about Drew and Nina's affair to destroy Willow's trust, it won't just be revenge, it will be a declaration of war. She will not let anyone, not Michael, not Willow, take her child away from her again. This war will no longer follow conventional rules, because when a mother is pushed to the edge, she doesn't just fight back, she rewrites the rules the world tried to force upon her. And Sasha is doing exactly that, not out of rage, but out of love. Sasha is entering an irreversible phase of transformation, a pivotal moment where every past pain, betrayal, and loss is no longer a burden, but the fuel that guides her. One of the deepest changes within her doesn't come from the outside, but from within, from a powerful awakening that she is no longer on the sidelines of power games, but squarely at the center. The child she just gave birth to is not only a symbol of hope but living proof of a legacy, a bloodline that both Michael and the Corinthos family seek to control. That alone means Sasha can no longer bow or remain on the margins. One of the major adjustments now taking shape is Sasha redefining her role, not just as a mother, but as a political force in this twisted family war. The latest shock, learning Nina betrayed her by leaking her baby's personal information to Rick. And the quiet realization that Michael might be prioritizing his family's legacy over honesty with her, has shattered the entire picture she once believed in. But instead of collapsing as she might have in the past, Sasha stands up, cold, clear, and calculating. She no longer sees Michael as a former lover, or Drew as a past ally, but as two men attempting to manipulate her fate and her child's future through power, information, and the law. And at this moment, Sasha begins her counterattack, not with tears or pleading, but with calculated, deliberate moves designed to reclaim her central role. This transformation catches Michael off guard. He always thought Sasha would remain the gentle one, easy to pacify with comfort or compromise. But when Sasha refuses to sign any document without her own lawyer, when she begins referencing independent terms on custody and finances, when she maintains silence in the face of Drew's offer of cooperation, Michael realizes, Sasha has become someone else entirely. Drew, too, is pulled into the storm, especially knowing that Sasha might be the only one with concrete proof of his secret relationship with Nina, a secret that could burn down the last shreds of Willow's trust. The story is spiraling towards something far more profound. It's no longer about who loves whom, or who betrayed whom. It's about who wields the truth as a weapon to manipulate law, media, and the fragile trust of those involved. Sasha, in this context, is not a passive bystander. She is the one holding the secrets, the emotional leverage, and most importantly, she is the mother of a child whose legacy neither Michael nor Drew can afford to ignore. The new strategy she's crafting isn't visible on the surface, it lies in the quiet, calculated steps she takes behind the scenes. From approaching Rick to understand the direction of the case, to sending subtle signals to Carly that she's no longer someone to manipulate, Sasha is creating an undercurrent that could erupt the moment someone dares to threaten her maternal rights. If Drew thinks compassion will sway her, or if Michael still believes he controls Sasha's emotions, they've severely underestimated a woman who has already lost everything and now has nothing left to lose, except her silence. And once Sasha chooses to break that silence, once she delivers her first blow, whether by exposing Drew's affair with Nina or revealing how Michael has manipulated the court, Port Charles will never be the same. A new order is being written, by the one they all thought had faded into the shadows. But Sasha hasn't faded. She's leading.